Hey everybody, Ghost Critic back with another LongBox history. Another delve into my comic boxes. This one is a special. It's a big long run, and I think a certain Dakin Howlett may find this one very interesting indeed. Him being a great fan of this character. Let's get straight into it and go back to May 1992. It's Spawn. Yes, this is my run of Spawn comics. I was a huge Spawn fan. Anybody who's seen the tag video that went on a while back now, where we all put up videos for our top 10 comic issues or something like that. I had Spawn issue 100 in my top 10, and it was actually the very first issue of Spawn I ever got, and from that moment on I was just completely hooked, and I had to go back and try and get all of the back issues. Haven't managed so far. It's one of those titles that I kind of forget about, to be honest, because I don't collect it anymore. But if I see any and I've got my book with me or my smartphone so I can remember which ones I still need, I'll pick them up if they're a nice price. So my collection of Spawn starts with issue 3. Todd McFarlane created character for Image Comics, and it's had a bit of a rocky ride, to be honest. It sold so well to begin with and had so many like big major names attached to it throughout its kind of initial kind of start of its run. You had guys like Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman and Grant Morrison writing issues for the title, and then of course you had all the big artists as well. I mean, Capullo and Medina being, you know, two of the biggest names on the run of Spawn, and the covers on these just really are exceptional. Spawn, for anyone who doesn't know, is a guy called Al Simmons who died, but was did a deal with the devil, so to speak, which is always a bad idea. And he was turned into this spawn of hell Spawn. And he has the power. His power set is really quite astonishing. But in the initial run, it was kind of dependent on this stuff called necroplasm, kind of neatly shown. All this green stuff. Usually, whenever you see green, he's using this necroplasm. But at the start, it was kind of set to a meter. I think it was 9,999, and every time he used this necroplasm, the meter went down. So to begin with Spawn, there seemed to be a finite time to his powers. Now, it has been a while since I've read a lot of these Spawn titles, but I think they kind of muddled it up a bit, changed that meter so he could clearly use it a lot more than the 9,999 meter. Dakin Howlett, Chris, could probably explain that a little bit better, because he'll probably remember being such a big fan of Spawn. There are some really great characters that were introduced to the whole Spawn universe. Some really kind of sick characters as well. I mean, it dealt with kind of like child molestation with Billy Kincaid. I mean, this character here, Clown, he's just, you know, evil personified. Really the one trying to goading throughout the Spawn series for Spawn, you know, to kind of turn over to the dark side kind of thing. Sam and Twitch there, cops, private investigators that kind of in a way befriended Spawn for quite some time. His wife there, Wanda, who also had he also had a child with, called Cyan. Spawn in Santa Claus outfit. I mean, just some of the covers from Capello were worth the price tag itself. They're just phenomenally detailed and just really just stand out so well. There's issue 50. Mm, 56. Let's move that batch out of the way. Bring on the next batch. We're in frame, yep. So Spawn 57. There's an ape cover. There you go, Scott. The cape, when drawn, I mean Capello, when he was drawing this, there was certainly, I don't know which way it kind of went round, but it's very reminiscent of how, you know, Batman's cape got drawn, this kind of flowing, almost an entity of itself, which was drawn just so fantastically. Nice cover there of Cyan. That's Alcimon, the Spawn's daughter. I said it's had a rough time. I mean, I don't know, I can't even imagine what it's selling now, but from its height, you know, when it first came out, it was selling like, you know, hundreds of thousands of issues, and was a great success that, you know, even had you know, a mediocre, it has to be said, a mediocre film, and it also had a cartoon series which was actually a lot better than the actual film, but didn't really last that long. She's 63. 64. There's a, I think that's from the actual film, so I check that on the cover. 66. 67. There we have Sam and Twitch. Like I said, they kind of befriended Spawn and, you know, kept him alive a lot of the time. There's just some of these amazing covers that kind of showed Spawn in very different guises. This guy here is Cogliostro. He's kind of, well, you say he's a friend of Spawn. He knows a lot of things about previous Spawns and their history, but it's one of those, he's kind of says too much cryptically. He doesn't actually come out and say, look, this is what it is, this is the situation, and was more of a hindrance to Spawn a lot of the time than actual help. 76. 77. You could always count on a Spawn cover to have copious amount of blood thrown all over it. I mean, just a lot of these covers, it would just be amazing to have as, you know, big kind of A1 sheets of poster size. They're just so well done. I mean, not only has it had kind of trouble keeping its sales figures going, I mean, there was trouble brewing throughout with kind of lawsuits for characters that, you know, kind of, and they were upheld at the time, if I remember rightly, characters being based on real people, which they didn't take too kindly to. So there was a lot of lawsuits I don't think it ever really came out on time. You never know from one month to the other whether you were going to get a new Spawn issue or not. '87, '88, kind of nice Halloween type cover there. Let's go into the next batch. Issue 90, and this is kind of the run-up to the big 100, and the promise that someone was going to die in issue 100, and they teased that it was going to be one of the female characters. So you had like the picture of Wanda, a picture of Cyan, what's her name, Angela. Here we go, Angela here in all her glory. Fantastic cover. Issue 98, and the 100th edition there. And this is basically where I started with Spawn, getting it as an ongoing on my pull list. Spawn has battled all sorts of creatures, you know, from demons from the hell regions to vampires to there's even a storyline about the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, issue after issue, the covers were just phenomenal. Though there was very rarely, you know, one that you thought, oh, this is just kind of, oh, they're tired of doing covers now. But every single one was just so well composed, drawn, detailed. It was a great kind of, it is, I mean, basically it is a horror comic, to be honest, and certainly delivered on the horrific many times. The 10th anniversary issue 117. $120. Always worms and insects and basic rottenness was shown on any particular Spawn cover. Last batch coming up. $125. $128. $29. It'd probably be quite good to go back and start reading this from the beginning again, at least the issues I have. It's been a long time since I've read a Spawn comic. Why did I stop getting Spawn? Unfortunately, it was that year out that I had to take from buying comics to sort myself out, as I've mentioned many times before. Basically any kind of modern age title that's still ongoing that I was collecting, and you see it on here and it's just stopped. That was the reason. And when I got back into comics a year later, I kind of gradually got myself back into comics and picked up the titles that, you know, really were kind of doing something for me. And unfortunately at the time, Spawn wasn't one of them. So I believe there's a new Spawn now. Again, Chris Dakin-Howlett will probably be able to tell us all that, for those of us who don't read Spawn anymore or don't read Spawn at all. I mean, these just covers are phenomenal. I mean, Capullo just practically did all of these covers. I mean, the detail and the length of time he must take to do these. I mean, sure, he has collaborations here with Mickey and McFarlane himself, but Capullo's name almost always on the front. Another great clown cover. He just was the evilest. I'm trying not to swear, but he was one evil man, demon. Almost at the end now. 147, 148, 149, and the last issue that I've got here, 150. And just as an added on, this was kind of a one-shot Spawn simile, which kind of took away from the regular Spawn universe, and it was kind of like an Elseworlds tale. So that's all my Spawn. Be ready for more S's. There are plenty more to come.